Hi friends, it's Claire from ScrappyNerdUK, and today I have a video for you for the Scrappy Sisters Scrap September YouTube hop, Instagram hop. Yeah, so there's about 40 of us all together, and we're across the month of September. Scrappy Sisters are going to be joined by a whole load of different scrappers to scrap to different themes throughout the month. So I'm up today, and today's theme is shape. So I am starting with I'm using Cocoa Vanilla Studios collection because in tribute to Scrappy Sisters, they are two Australian scrappers. They share a YouTube channel, so I'll leave their video linked down below for today's shape theme. So of course I went with Cocoa Vanilla, being an Australian company. And don't panic, I know that this looks awful at this stage. So initially I was going to just put some gesso down to add on some watercolours, mixed media. I decided not to do that in the end, but it still works out fine. So that is some white gesso, Vicky Boutin gesso that I've added down, and I'm just adding some white paint splatters with my Posca paint pen. And my shape, I'm really sorry it keeps going in and out of focus there. It's because I'm just trying to focus on my hand. So I am scrapping with the theme of stars. I've gone star crazy at the moment. I've been making a lot of these 3D paper stars. If you haven't seen the tutorial on that, then look back to the last, or maybe one of the last videos. So if you want to see how to make these 3D stars, then there is a video tutorial on how to do that. Now, one of my favourite products to use is this gold glitter paste from Bo Bunny. And if I can find it on Amazon, then I'll leave it linked in my Amazon store. Now, this these stars, you can see they don't come out perfectly through this stencil, and that's because that paper was not flat when I was trying to do this. I should have held down the stencil a lot more. Now, it doesn't bother me that they're not all perfect because most of them are going to get covered up anyway. But I just wanted a starry background to go behind my paper stars. So I'm just smushing the glitter paste through a stencil. Now I'm going to use two stencils. I'm using this one here. I can't remember where this one's from. I'm using this one here to put some bigger stars down, and then on the outer edge I'm going to use a smaller star stencil, which is from Echo Park. And again, if I can find them, I'll link them. And that is that bit done. So I do it in stages. So I put the gesso down first. I do let that dry, and then along with the ink splatters, and then I add the texture paste stars, the bigger stars, and then I let that dry, and I leave it a little while to dry on its own, then I just give it a blast with a heat gun just to make sure it is fully dry. And then I'm going to come in with the I'm going to add some gold Heidi shine first, so I'm just going to pop some of that down because there's not enough gold on there for my liking, so I'm just going to add some of that in as well, sploshing it everywhere. Now, don't panic still, because I know that it looks odd currently. So I had this idea in my head of I always think of, if obviously when you think of stars, you think of the moon, and I thought of a half moon, and that's why I cut my picture to, I printed that on A4, which is 8.5 by 11.5 roughly here in the UK. And so it doesn't quite meet all the way around the 12 by 12, but that's fine. I've got a bit of that pink paper popping through. So I cut it just using a circle cutter, And so that harsh line of the gesso is going to get covered anyway with the photo, which I've just stuck down. So I've put the photo down. I probably should have waited, but I just wanted to see how far out I wanted the stars to come. So that gave me a better perspective of how far I needed to stencil those gold stars. And that's the smaller gold stars added on. And again, they're not perfect in any way. However, you're not going to see most of them because they're going to be covered up. So we are going to stick these down. Best way for me to stick these 3D stars down so they retain their shape is to add a couple of foam dots into the middle with some wet glue to help that stay stuck. And then just a tiny bit of glue, which I add to all 5 points of the star, but they don't all make contact with the paper. So, but I don't want to mess around fiddling around with which ones are going to touch the paper and which ones aren't. Now, I do have to hold these stars down because I'm using that tacky glue. I would say that I probably hold them down for 20 to 30 seconds in total for each star, just to make sure that it is fully stuck. And what I'm going to do is just figure out the placement on these stars. As I said, most of the glittered stars behind are going to be covered up, but the design is there. You can still see quite a few of them, and your eye isn't necessarily then attracted to the fact that they're not perfect, and I'm cool with that. It doesn't bother me. So I'm just going to show you another one, and then I put the video on fast forward to where I've stuck them all down, because you don't need to see the whole process. So from start to finish, yes, I did make the stars before I started filming, but from start to finish this layout took 56, so less than an hour, and that included all the drying time as well. So I think that's pretty good going. There's my crocodile in the way there, just to help keep those stars stuck down. So I've layered some of them on the edge of the photo, just to cover up the line of the photo. I didn't want too much of that showing. So this photograph was taken, I think it was one of my first days at my new job. So we had some major changes last year where we had moved house and I'd moved jobs, and we had found that we were much happier with all the changes that had taken place. Happier in work, happier in life, happier with a new house. So we had this cheeky kissing photo taken, and I think I scrapped it in either a traveller's notebook already, but I wanted to supersize it and maybe pop it up in a frame in the house somewhere rather than this going into an album. So I'm using my gem tool to pick up these wood veneer stars. It works perfectly. So I'm just adding some of these on now, in amongst the rest of the stars. And if you didn't see there, I did add some more of those ink splatters. I love the Posca pens, they're brilliant. So that is that done. And then I need a title, and I was going to go for a long title, but then I really struggled with placement as to where it could go. And so I had a look through my stash, and I found these stickers that I've had since I think not long after I started scrapping, and it's great to actually get some of them used. So I saw these stickers that said "You and Me," And I was tempted to heat emboss them in gold silver, but gold glitter, but I decided just to leave it as it was in the end. And I used the part of the photo that there wasn't anything going on to add them in, and then just a few of these little hearts, and this is done. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to head on over to the other ladies video as well. That's all linked below. If you've enjoyed the video, then please give it a thumbs up. It really helps. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you next time. Bye.